Okay, up until this point in your maths, you will have always measured angles in degrees, and a complete rotation in degrees is 360 degrees. We're now going to start looking at measuring them in radians. Now, the radian is a more intrinsically linked unit than a degree is. Why 360 degrees? Well, I've heard the most popular opinion is because the Babylonians had a base 60 arithmetic that they used. But I've also heard things like the ancient Sumerians thought there were 360 days in a year and that type of stuff. But the radian is actually intrinsically linked to the circle. Think about the fact that the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. Think about what pi is itself. It's the number of times longer the distance is around the circle than it is across the circle. That's what pi is. So 360 degrees is a full rotation. 2 pi is a full rotation. No, there's no units on the pi, although you sometimes see units used, and indeed sometimes I put them in just to make things clear as well. But the radian is, or an amount in radians, is just a number, not really a unit. So you quite often see them without as well. I'm just making you aware that in textbooks and throughout different courses you'll see different things used. So 2 pi is the same as 360. We normally start from a pi is equal to 180. If you have theta in radians, you can change it into degrees with 180 over pi. And although I haven't written it in here, theta in radians, theta in degrees, and you just turn it up the other way, pi over 180. Quite often what people do for very basic ones is just start with the pi equals 180 and then do things like divide both sides by 2. So pi by 2 radians is the same as 90 degrees, and that answers the first part of example 1. So that would be pi by 2 radians. Now, if we use the conversion here, so 60 degrees, so we want that in radians, so times it by pi over 180, and then cancel here, and that will become 1, and that will become 3, so it's pi by 3. Now 30 degrees is just half of that, so that will be pi by 6. 15 degrees is pi by 12. The very basic ones here are ones that you just need to be able to just know and just come out with straight away. 30 degrees is pi by 6, 60 degrees is pi by 3, 90 degrees is pi by 2. Also 45 degrees is pi by 4. Those are really, really common. And then you can work your way around the unit circle. We'll look at that a bit later on as well to get bigger angles. And usually if you see polar grids, very, very often they are marked in pi by 12 units, and that's because of the 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees being so common. Okay, so continuing with the example. Well, we know that 60 degrees was pi by 3. 120 degrees is twice that, and we write that as 2 pi by 3. So twice pi by 3. 45 degrees I've already mentioned a few times, so we'll just write that down as pi by 4, half of what 90 degrees was, or 3 times what 15 degrees was. And 315 degrees, so we might need to think about that one. So where is 315 degrees? So if we work our way around, it's down here. So this is 45 degrees. So what do we got? We've got a 90, a 90, a 90, and then a 45. Well, each of those 90s is 245. So I've got 45, 45, 45, 45, 45, 45, 45. So that is 7 lots of 45 degrees, or 7 lots of pi by 4, which we write as 7 pi by 4. And that makes sense because 8 pi by 4 would bring us back here. 8 pi by 4 would be 2 pi, which is once round.